Megan, and I'm playing the role of a student graduate clinician.
My name's Adria, and I'll be playing the role of a concerned parent.
And we will be talking about the different language developmental milestones with 5 different components of language. These consist of phonology, semantics, pragmatics, morphology, and syntax between the ages of 24 months and 48 months.
Do you work there?
I don't work here. I'm a student graduate clinician. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I have a 4-year-old and I'm actually concerned about her speech.
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I'll tell you about phonology, which is basically how children simplify their speech sounds in their words. Do you understand your child when they talk to you most of the time?
Not most of the time, no.
Okay, well, children between the ages of 2 and 4 should produce their speech, and their parents or caregivers should be able to understand them 50 to 75% of the time, so at least for half of their speech.
Okay.
Okay, so reasons why your child is talking but you might not be able to understand them are because of these things we call phonological processes, which is, like I said before, when your child talks but kind of simplifies the words and could take away some sounds. So examples that your child might have right now, so typical examples, consists of unstressed syllable deletion, which is when they take away a weak syllable of a word. So is your child saying anything like nana instead of banana?
Yes.
Okay, so that is typical for this age. Another one is that they are taking off a final consonant in a word. So for example, they will say ka for cat. Is your child doing anything like that?
Yes.
Okay, that's also typical. A last example I'll give you is that they will add IE at the end of a noun. So if they see a pet, so if they see a dog, they'll say doggy instead of dog. Does that happen at all?
Yes.
Okay, that's also typical for this age. So for a typically developing 3-year-old, other examples include cluster reduction, which is when a consonant cluster is reduced to a single consonant. So example, instead of saying plane, they will say pain, taking the L out of there. Does your child, another example would be adding a sound, typically the sound in words. So does your child say anything like the lack instead of black, for instance?
Sometimes.
Okay, that's typical for this age right now. And another example I'll give you is when the L or the ER sound in a word are replaced with a vowel. So does your child say apple instead of apple?
Sometimes.
Okay, so but if there's any atypical development, it typically proceeds 4 years old. So if you see any of this still consistently happening past this age, then I would talk to your pediatrician.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So now I'll talk to you about the different semantic components your child should have. Semantics means basically the meaning of words. I actually have a lot of information in this brochure about semantics, and I have a lot more in the clinic, so why don't you follow me this way?
Okay.
And as we walk, I'll inform you about different milestone development that your child should have at this age. So typically at 2 years old, if you remember, did your child start to name different objects?
Some, but not many.
Okay. Did they understand or use questions regarding people, objects, and different events?
I'm not too sure.
Okay. Well, they should be able to understand and use basic spatial terms such as in, on, and under. They should also follow 2-part directions, which is when you give 2 directions in one sentence. Does your child do that at all?
He's actually having trouble with that.
Okay. Do they know the different size concepts of big versus little?
No.
Okay. Do they ask simple who and where questions, understanding those concepts?
Some, but not many.
Okay. So at 3 years of age, did you remember if your child understands basic colors and shapes?
No.
Okay. Did they know different positioning such as in front of or behind?
Nope.
And did they use and understand when questions by chance?
No.
Okay. Well, if your child is not exhibiting these behaviors, then you should maybe talk to your pediatrician to get more information.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so there's your brochure. Is your child in school?
In preschool, yes.
Okay, so now I'll talk to you about pragmatics, which is how your child interacts with their friends and teachers and you as well.
Okay.
So, children start conversing in their 3rd year of life, and so parents should keep an eye out for certain developmental actions as their child matures. And so typical pragmatic development is for a 2-year-old is when they watch other children and they join in on their play activities. Also, they participate in play that mimics that of their peers. Did you see your child do that at all?
A little bit.
Okay. Did you see your children participate in group activities, or were they kind of by themselves?
Kind of by themselves.
Okay. And did they start to carry his or her own conversations when they played with toys, talking to dogs, or anything like that?
Not too much.
Okay. Well, also, when your child began at 3 years old, did they talk about past events at all? Like bring up events that happened?
No.
No? Okay. Did they have direct requests such as, I want ice cream, and did they turn that into something more indirect as saying, I am hungry, instead of saying the specific food item they want?
No.
Okay. Did they make their own conversational repairs? So if they messed up when they were talking, did they try and fix their speech at all?
I don't think so.
Okay, so if any of these went across the age of 4 years old, then that is sort of atypical, and so you might want to talk to your pediatrician and gather more information.
Okay, thank you.
So now I'll talk to you about morphology, which is another component of language. Morphology is when you add things to words to change their meanings. So if you can recall, at 2 years old, did your child add ing to a word? So they'll say crying or anything like that?
No.
No? Okay. Another addition to words at 2 years old is an S. So they'll say dogs or cats. Did your child do any of that?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. And there's also say words such as gonna, gotta, and wanna instead of I want. Did they say anything like that?
No.
Okay. Also, did your child add ed to words, but they kind of over-exaggerated, such as saying I runned instead of I ran?
Yes.
Okay, that's typical at 2 years of age. Also, did they understand possessive? So if they had a hat, did they say, or if their friend had a hat, did they say, oh, that's my friend's hat? So they understood that it was theirs?
No.
Okay. And did they also say present tense verbs such as can, will, be, and do?
Nope.
Okay, that's okay. Also, at 3 years of age, if you can remember, did they use the past tense modal, which are words such as could, would, and should?
No.
Did they use the be verb in addition with the ing that I was telling you about? So an example would be the baby is crying.
Sometimes.
Okay. And did they use irregular past tense? And so they would say I ate instead of I eated?
No.
Okay. So if your child does not meet these milestones by the age of 4, I would consult your pediatrician or the teachers at the school for further information.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now I'll talk to you about the last component of language, which is syntax. And syntax means the order of the words in your sentences. So if you can recall, at 2 years of age, did your child combine 3 to 4 words in their sentences?
Maybe, but I don't really remember.
Okay. Well, one part of their phrases, if you can remember, should consist of nouns, and their other part should consist of verbs, because that's what they typically say in their sentences around 2 years of age. And as you continue to monitor your child's phrases, they should also begin to show the use of first person pronoun, which is I, second person pronouns, which is you, and third person pronouns, which is he or she. Did you see any of that?
A little bit.
Okay, well that's good. And also, did you see them using the verb be consistently? So they'll say, I am happy, I am sad, and just keep using I am?
No.
No? Okay. Well, did your child start to combine he is in the contracted form as he's, or she is as she's?
Not yet.
Okay, that's okay. I know you said that your child didn't produce 3 to 4 words in their sentences, but just so you know, typically at 3 years of age, your child produces 4 to 5 words in their sentences. It's also when they start to produce more complex sentences. So for example, they would say, the cat is under the chair. So that's more complex than just saying the cat. Another example of a complex sentence is, I am tired and I want to sleep. So that combines 2 different sentences in one. And also the use of negative contracted words such as cannot, they will turn that into can't, and will not will turn into won't. And I know you said that your child does not show signs of these behaviors, so you should further discuss this with your pediatrician or the teachers at your school. You're welcome.
Please see a structured review of all of the information presented in this video, as it is a reference to understanding typical language development for children 2 and 3 years of age. Thank you for watching.